Hello, welcome to my channel, another Bibliophile Reads. My name is Greg, and I am going to do the L tag. Now, it has been a few weeks since I've done one of Jim's alphabet tags, and that's because I've been very busy with work and moving. I do enjoy them, and I'm glad to be back with the L tag. First prompt. L is for Louis L'Amour, the prolific best-selling writer famous for his Western fiction. What is your favorite of Louis L'Amour's novels? I have not read any of Louis L'Amour's novels. L is for love. What is your favorite love story? I am going to pick The Angle of Repose by Wallace Stegner. That is a novel of a family, or sorry, a couple who head out and live in the West. L is for like. Have you liked this video? Yes, Jim, I liked your video and I gave it a thumbs up. L is for language. Have you any book in a language you cannot read? Sort of. I have a history book of photos of the implements used by the Spanish Inquisition. It has Spanish and English text. I can almost read the Spanish text. I am not fluent in Spanish, but when I am able to see English next to Spanish, I can just about make out what the Spanish is saying. L is for lingo. Are there any words in other languages that have no equivalent in English? I am going to pick the word sophrosyne from the ancient Greek. It comes from one of Plato's dialogues. Unfortunately, my works of Plato are in a box in the garage right now, so I cannot pull out and say exactly which dialogue this comes from. The word sophrosyne is translated in my edition as temperance. It could also be translated as moderation. It is a philosophical idea of basically trying to not be too extreme in either direction. I suppose it could even be used as the Taoist middle way principle. L is for literary fiction. What is your understanding of the term literary fiction? Literary fiction is a style. It is not a genre. Typically, literary fiction is just considered, or mostly considered to be just ordinary fiction, although you can have literary science fiction, you can have literary mystery, you can have literary horror, you can have a literary novel in just about any genre. It is a style and basically a way of writing a book. It usually focuses a lot on the quality and style of writing, so you have a very more measured way of writing, a very advanced way of writing, a very beautiful way of writing. It often focuses a lot more of character over plot, but even that can change. The opposite of literary fiction is something I would just call fast fiction. Those are books written very fast and meant to be mass consumed. They are more entertainments. Even Graham Greene had his distinction between his serious novels and his entertainments. And again, entertainments are fine, but they don't get to that higher quality. Now, some people will label novels literary fiction, and they're just terrible novels. They're poorly written, poorly conceived. That is someone trying to impose literary fiction as a genre, and I don't think that is the way it should be done. L is for Lolita. Have you read it? What do you think of it? I have read Lolita 4 times, twice in print and twice in audio. I believe it is the finest written novel of the 20th century in terms of style. Now, there is, of course, a very big elephant in that room, is that the main character, Humbert, is a pedophile. And a lot of people just have a very adverse reaction to a character in a novel that is a pedophile. Now, Vladimir Nabokov was not a pedophile. It was just that he wrote a book about one. And he wrote about it in a very believable way. And again, people just are so turned off by Humbert's nature that they dislike the book immediately. The thing is, the book is not pornography. There's almost no sex in that book. But because of the subject matter, it was originally published by Olympia Press out of Paris. And Olympia Press did publish pornography. It was known for its pornography and its green covers. The editor of the annotated Lolita actually had a story about that. He was serving in the military, and one of his army buddies had gotten a hold of this Olympia Press edition, and his army buddy was expecting pornography. And his buddy was reading through the first few chapters and threw down the book in disgust and said, "This is fucking literature." So that's what you have to look at Lolita as. It is literature, and you just have to overlook the fact that its character, Humbert, is a very nasty human being. L is for London. What is your favorite book set in London? I'm going to cheat a little here, and I'm going to say the Sherlock Holmes stories and novels of Arthur Conan Doyle. I'm taking them as a whole and not as individual stories or individual novels. My ebook collection is one book, and my audiobook version is one book. So I am going to treat Sherlock Holmes as one novel, mostly set in London with some diversions elsewhere. L is for librarian. Do you have a favorite librarian? No, I don't know any librarians in real life. L is for last. What is the last book that you read? The last book that I read was He Died with His Eyes Open by Derek Raymond. And this is a crime novel set in London. I found this novel because Jim, in one of his other videos, mentioned that this book, another book by this author in the series, The Factory, and this is the first book in the Factory Quartet. And I believe the one he mentioned was the third book. The third book was Jim's candidate for the most disturbing novel he had ever read. And I marked that down to put on my Amazon watch list. And I noticed that I had bought the first book of this series on my Kindle about 5 years ago. And I have finally gotten around to reading it. And this is a story of a detective who has to find the murderer of a middle-aged man who was savagely beaten and dumped in an alley in London. I did like this quite a bit. You do have to like crime fiction. It is a little gory in a couple of places, but otherwise a fine example of a crime novel. And that is the end of the L tag. I thank you for watching. Have a good evening. Goodbye.